Good morning, and I am coming at you with my morning looks from bed. I have just spent the morning reflecting on my few weeks past and reflecting on my month in general. And look at that. It's quite a bit that happened. Quite a few insights, and I just love going back, reflecting and seeing like what changed, what improved, what insights I had. And yeah, it's been a great month. And I'm proud of my health, like really improving. It's quite fascinating actually how rapidly it is improving when I'm out of the way as well, when I'm not what's the word I'm looking for? It's morning, so I'm still I'm still learning how to speak. When there's no hindrance from my side, like going out late or eating late or whatever, so it's quite impressive. And I'm not sure what I want to share. One thing that has been very present for me lately, especially yesterday, was death. I saw a dead mouse. Yesterday I saw dead squirrel and dead hedgehog. 2 dead animals on the same day. And I was like, wow, death is so close. Like, I don't know. I feel like I've been actually very present to the idea of death lately, especially after my mushroom trip, where after I nearly died. That was a bizarre experience. But like in those ceremonies, like you die over and over again, or I should say in my ceremonies, I go to experiences of death so often, and it's not necessarily the death of like a physical death, but it's more a death of a story, a death of an idea of myself, and also physical death. So that's why after ceremonies, like I come out very resilient and very empowered. I'm like, I mean, I died already so many times. It's like, what worse that can happen? But after that specific ceremony, I came back home and I actually physically nearly died, and I don't know what it was. But I collapsed, and I just remembered this, like, I've never experienced such pain in my life. It was like a pain that was everywhere. It was like, it's even hard to explain the level of pain. It was like almost like a radiation, like rays of pain, just like all over me. And I collapsed and I became breathless. And my mind was like, fuck, this is it. Like, I'm done. I'm dying. And there's nothing I can do. I cannot move. And the only thing that I could think of to do was to breathe. I was like, just breathe. And I was breathing through the pain. And I managed to kind of come back after some time. That was scary, because that was like the realest of the experience. Like, this was probably the closest I've ever been to death in the real world. Yeah, and since then I'm kind of I'm mindful of the impermanence of life. But more recently, I started seeing all these dead animals. And also, like, whenever I walk over, like, across the street, I'm like, what if I would be hit by a car? Like, I'm literally contemplating my death. Like, what if this building would fall and collapse over me? And plus, seeing the signs of death, I'm like, wow. Like, this is it. This is real. This is as real as it can get. Like, yeah. Just being with the fact that tomorrow is not promised. Even the next moment is not promised. And I'm taking it for granted. And all of us do. And it's like, yeah, I've always like thought of how like Stoics, right? They contemplate death regularly. I think it's like one of their practices. And I was always thinking, how do people get so present and intimate with death? Because in my mind and my awareness in my day-to-day, like it's never, like it would never occur to me. I'm like, wow, I really appreciate how people can do that and really be with the idea of death and have that be a source of life. Oof, I love that. Having death be a source of life, whereby they feel motivated to live fully, to show up fully, to, did I say love? Anyway, to source that passion, to source that gratitude as well in the moment for, fuck, I'm alive, you know, and that's all that matters, really. Or like it puts things into perspective. And I was talking with my friend from my creator circle, who's also a coach, and he shared an intimate moment with me about his wife passing and him and his daughter spending time with her. And I think it was a couple of weeks or maybe a month, and she was slowly approaching death. And he was just sharing that these moments, these days, these hours were the most present he's ever been. And there was no like future, no past, no thinking, no planning. It was just being in the moment with his wife. And he said it was like the most bizarre experience. Like how simple life becomes when we're faced with death. In my life, I've not been exposed to that often. I think there were only 2 funerals that I've attended in my life. I think one was like a teacher or something, and one was my grandfather. I didn't go to my dad's funeral, but I remember I would avoid funerals. I was like, what's the point? Now I see it as being a sacred ritual, sacred practice, a remembrance, a celebration of a dead person. So my perspective changed, but I know people that have had so many deaths in their lives. I've not had that many, but I think it's interesting how the presence of death is approaching me from my internal experiences with psychedelics, then, I mean, I had more experiences where I was very close to death, when I was in a car accident, or when I was very drunk and collapsed and smacked my head to the concrete. And the most recent one, and now the signs of death everywhere. And I'm just pondering on it more often, and I wonder if it's not gonna be a self-fulfilled prophecy and this is my last video. Wow. Imagine that. What a grandiose exit from this physical realm. But I'm laughing now, but I'm remembering, this is, wow. I'm remembering when I was, which school I was in. I was very young, probably 4th, 5th degree. How do I say it? Oh my God. Oh, I need some help here. How do you say degree? Not degree, the class level, whatever. So I must have been like 10, 11, 12. Anyway, it doesn't really matter, young. And I remember you have either, it's like spirituality or religious class, or you can have ethics. I don't know if I'm like translating that correctly. I don't know. Anyway, that was back in my home country. And I was in ethics because I was repelled by religion. I was never brought up religious, even though I was involved with the church and community, and it was a beautiful experience and beautiful time. But anyway, I think that year I just wanted to go for ethics. And I don't remember what was the question that we were asked to ponder on. Some kind of maybe existential question. And the thing that I wrote was something around, I think I maybe even have it somewhere saved. I would love to, I just remember the end of it because it's to do with death. It was something around like live my life fully or whatever, and die in a way that the whole world knows. It's like, fuck, who says that at the age of like 11 or 12? But I remember I was taking a piss and I was trying to provoke something, and teacher was like, Diamond, you really need attention, don't you? But it was something with to like die grandiosely so that the whole world knows. And it just came back to me now, talking about dying. Sunday morning, talking death. Yeah. It's interesting because recently I've been contemplating on like how to source more inspiration, more passion, more drive for life. Because I was seeing how I'm kind of just getting by. Like I'm creating, I'm doing, but still it's like this kind of, I don't know, there was this lack of hunger. I'm like, fuck, I want to access that. And I was like, a couple of weeks, I was like, how do I access that? Because I was like, big things, big dreams are not really pulling me into action. Like, yes, I do have them, but it's like, I'm very zen and like very satisfied. And I have a lot of trust in me that it will unfold. And so it's like, okay, so that doesn't pull me into hunger, into action, into drive. So I was like, where do I source that from? And I was thinking, oh, maybe I need to go into my hell. Maybe I really need to sit with what would be on the opposite of the dreams, of desires, goals, future. And I was like, yeah, I should probably sit down and contemplate on my hell. What would happen if I would stay the same, if I would just do a little just to get by and to be in my comfort zone? Like, how would life look like on the other end? Like working 9 to 5, trading my time and energy for money, having mediocre life, meeting someone and settling for less, being miserable in a relationship, leaning back into alcohol to just entertain myself because I'd be bored and I'd be unmotivated, uninspired, I'd be grumpy, I'd be miserable. So I went there, I started looking into all those things, but still, it was kind of, yeah. It's still like there still wasn't, I was like, how do I get this fire under my ass to like propel me? And now it's interesting that the death is coming up, and I feel like it is kind of at the back of my mind, this like impermanence of life and this contemplation of like, okay, what if it would actually be my last day? Like, what would I do? How would I show up? What would I create? And what I actually realized from those contemplations of searching for my drive and for my passion and for my hunger is collaboration, community, creating challenges, creating support systems around me, creating accountability, and really entangling my creations with others. And I was like, yeah. Because just recently I created a challenge to earn 15 grand. And I wrote all the steps that I'll do to create that. And it's not on my own. I'm not doing it on my own, because whenever I'm doing it on my own, this is where it gets very like, I'm on my own. No one cares, no one watches me, and I'm just quite uninspired. And now, because I've been creating it with my buddy from my circle, it's 3 of us. It's like, wow, yeah, let's do this. There's this playfulness, fun, accountability. And I had this realization. I'm like, fuck, this is it. It's not the hell. It's not a death, even though they do contribute to, they bring some spark into the fire. But the real fire for me, I realized, is entangling others in my creation and creating together and co-creating and sharing and creating that accountability structure, creating challenge and making it fun, remembering that life is a game. And it's like, how am I playing it? Am I playing it? Or am I really serious? And again, coming back from love, what would I love to create? Tuning back into the love rather than should, and looking at how others doing it. It's like, no, how would I love to create? And this was quite profound actually for me to realize. Probably because it's very new for me as well. I've been always doing everything on my own. And now having this community and seeing how everyone is creating, how everyone is entangled, how everyone is asking for support and providing support. And the more I'm getting entangled into creations with others, the more I'm seeing, the more fun it feels I'm having, the more I feel connected and not on my own. Yeah. So that's me. From death to motivation. Sunday contemplations from bed. Anyway, this is where I'm gonna stop. I think it's been too deep. I wasn't saying two, I was saying like too. Anyway, I hope you are having what would I love to wish for you? I hope you're having an experience of your life where you're not resisting it, where you're free, and where you can be with all there is. You can hold everything and create with it, and create from that, and create through it. One of the other things I'm learning, to create with and through resistance. Let me know what arose in you. Let me know anything that you would love to share. I would love to hear. What's your experience with death? What's your experience with creating passion and fire and hunger? Yeah, I would love to know. Loving you. And I'll see you in the next one.